Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's tutorial, we are going to be talking about CSS paddings. But before we get started, if this video is useful for you or for somebody else that you know, don't forget to share it with them. Also, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Okay, so let's get started. So to get started with CSS paddings, I want you guys to go to the same website that we've been using so far, which is w3schools.com. Then you're going to go all the way to the CSS tab and you're going to hit CSS padding. Now, what is CSS padding? CSS padding properties are used to generate space around an element's content inside of any defined borders. So in other words, CSS padding is the distance that you have between the border and the content of your element. So okay, let me show you real quick an example in this image so that you can understand this a little bit better. We are going to open Adobe Illustrator for this. And in our previous chapter, I show you exactly what a margin is and where is it located. And here we have the margins, as you know already, is what it's outside of the content and actually outside of the border of the content. Now, the padding is what it's inside of the border in between the content. So between the content and the border, you have a space, and that space is called padding. It could be on top of your element, it could be at the right side, it could be at the left side, and it's also the space that is at the bottom of your content between the border and the content itself. Now, there are a couple of values that you can use with this, and let's go back to W3 Schools for that. The values that you can use to specify the distance between the border and the element itself with the padding is length. You have the value of percentage, and also you have the value of inherit. So we're going to take a look at each one of them and we're going to take a look of them by coding into our Visual Studio Code, right? We're going to be using the same website that we've been coding along so far with, and I'm going to open that up in Visual Studio Code as well. Now, what I am going to do in this case is erase the second paragraph that we built before, and I am also going to delete the style for border number 2 because we are not going to need that since I'm erasing border number 2 and paragraph number 2. By the way. So I'm going to save this information and let's go ahead and hit refresh in our website. So when I do that, as you can see, we are only staying with one simple element here. Okay, so let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and actually let's go back to W3 Schools first. So let's go ahead and start with the length value. So to use padding, you have to specify the padding. You can specify the padding distance either by selecting each side, which could be padding top, right, bottom, or left. Or you can go ahead and actually write down the distance, you know, in a shorthand code, which is 25 pixels, 50. And remember, this is top, right, bottom, left. Right? We've seen this several times by now, so I'm pretty sure that you know how to shorthand write your code. If you do not know, you can go ahead and actually visit my previous chapters, and I show you how to do that there. Okay, so let's go ahead and use first padding top so that you can see what's going to happen to this element. Okay, so let's go back to our code. Let's minimize this. And let's get into Visual Studio Code. I'm going to apply here padding top, and I'm going to apply 50 pixels. Okay, I'm going to save this, and now take a look and see what's going to happen inside of the border, in between the border and the content when I hit refresh. Here I go. Boom, you see? Now between the border and the element, we have 50 pixels of distance at the top of on the top, right? So now that you have seen what padding top does to the element, let's go ahead and shorthand write the code. So what I'm going to just say is padding just be 50 pixels. And that's it, okay? So this is going to give me 50 pixels from the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and now we're going to hit refresh. And boom, you see? Top, left, right, and bottom. Now we can also apply two values. Let's say that I'm going to apply to the top and bottom, I'm going to apply 100 pixels, and to the left and the right, I'm going to apply 50 pixels. I can simply do this by only typing in two values, okay? So I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to hit refresh, and there you go. Now for the top and the bottom, we have 100 pixels of distance, and from the left and right, we should have only 50 pixels of distance. So that's what padding does if you go ahead and you use the length value. Now the second value that you will see here, it's probably going to be percentage. Let's just go back here to our document. Yeah, so it's percentage, which is going to specify the padding in percentage of the width of the containing element. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's say that the padding is going to be 10% overall. If I go ahead and I say that the padding is going to be 10% and I apply this to my padding, when I hit refresh, boom, you see what's happening? It's applying 10% of distance of the containing element. Okay, so that's if you apply this in percentage. If we go ahead and we increase the percentage to 100% and I hit save, now you will see a high, actually you're going to see a really long padding distance here. I'm actually going to minimize my screen, zoom to 25% so that you can see, and here is the content. And there's a lot of padding because I put 100%, right, of distance. So let's go ahead and let's just do this to 15%. I'm going to save this. I'm going to increase my zoom to, I don't know, 75%, and I'm going to hit refresh. And there you go. Now we have 15% of distance on top, left, bottom, and right. Okay, so that's what the percentage value on paddings does. And finally, we're going to take a look at the last one, which is inherit. And this is going to specify the padding that should be inherited from the parent element. So right now, we have P, which is simply a element right inside of the body section. If we give a dad to P, we could say that the dad is going to be a division. Let's say it's going to be a division, okay? And this is going to be the parent of P, right? And then P is going to be the child. Now we're going to give this division a class, and the class is going to be called, I don't know, let's call it parent, okay? And I'm going to hit save. Now we're going to style the parent. Let's copy all the styling that we have here. Okay. We're going to style everything, and we're just going to click to change the selector. We're just going to call the parent. I'm actually going to delete the padding in both. Okay, I'm going to hit save. Whoops, I'm forgetting to close this. Make sure you're closing properly. Okay, so that your code works. Okay, I'm going to hit save, and now I'm going to hit refresh. And there we go. Now we have the parent, which is the outside box, and then the child, which is the inside box. Now we're going to change the color here to the parent to blue so that you know who the parent is. I'm going to save this. I'm going to hit refresh. Okay, so now the parent, it's in a blue. Now remember that if I change the margin instead here of 50 pixels to just inherit the same amount of pixels, how we did before on margins, right? If I choose inherit and I hit save, now the child is going to have the same margin as the parent. So if I hit refresh, as you can see, it's also giving 50 pixels and nothing is changing because before it was at 50 pixels. Now, the same way that inherit works for margin, it'll work for padding as well. So if I go ahead and I give the parent a padding of, let's say, 10 pixels, right? Let's hit save and let's see what this is going to do. Okay, so 10 pixels. Actually, let's give 100 pixels. I hope that's not too much. Okay, let's hit save and let's hit refresh. Okay, there you go. So now it has 100 pixels, bottom, actually top, right, bottom, left, right? 100 pixels of distance on padding. So if I go ahead and I apply a padding here to the child, just so you can see what's going to be the difference. And I say inherit. Inherit, what this is going to do actually is that it's going to inherit the same padding value that the parent has. Okay, so if I hit save and now I hit refresh, boom, you see? Now the parent and the child both have the same padding distance. So I hope that makes sense to you. And with this last value, which is inherit, we are finishing to explain padding. As always, you can go to the documentation that it is on w3schools.com, so you can read a little bit more about this and actually use a little bit of other values to this. So that way you can see how you can apply your padding. You can go ahead and you can apply it in different websites. You can apply it to different elements, and you can do magic with it, right? This is a very common property that you're going to be using in CSS. So make sure you study, you read a little bit more about it. And as always, if you have questions, don't forget to leave them in the comment section below, and I am going to reply to them as soon as I can. So that was it for this video today, everyone. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe to it. That way you can get notified every time that I upload a video. As well, if this video is useful for you or for somebody else that you know, don't forget to share it with them. Okay, and as always, remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye everyone, and see you again in the next episode.